Hello and welcome to this live. Is sex actually that important to men? You know what? This is going to be really interesting because we're going to talk about, I think a lot of the challenges that we have in dating, relationships, connecting, communication. A lot of it comes from these rules that society has made. And then we get inundated with it. We see it in movies, TV shows, and we think, oh, this is a reality. This is a narrative. And so I think that there is a misconception about men and sex. And I think it's been marketed to women a certain way. I think that women are obviously awakening to their own truths and not just what the media or society says, but what actually is their truth and not what they're being told is their truth. But is sex that important to men? I think the reason why we're even asking this question is because I don't know about you, but all I know is growing up, all I heard as a little girl, as a woman, is men just want your cookies. Boys just want your cookies. That's all they want. These cookies. Hey Robert, thank you for being here. I want to hear what you guys have to say in the chat as well. If you're a man and you're here, like I want to hear what not what society said, not what porn has said to you. As a man, is sex important to you? How important is it to you? I want to know. I want you guys to tell me in the comment section because I think that men have kind of been described as these just like animals who just want sex. It's like they're these dumb animals who all they have this capacity for is just to have sex. Me man, me want to have sex with you, woman. And it's just like, I don't know. I've coached a lot of men in my 14 years. And in my experience and actually working with men, sex is important to them, but it's not the end all be all. And you'll have older men give you a very different perspective, or men who have had lots of sex have a total different perspective than what has been inundated with most of us women, which is men just want you for your cookies. They just want you for for um for what's in between your legs. It's like this is what women get taught. And so what happens is when women get taught like this is all a man wants, like sex is just so important to him, it's the end all be all to his existence, then women go into dating, they go into relationships with these guards up of like, well shit, I just am going to be wanted for like a hole in my body, like that's it, that's all I have to give. And, for men, if you're a man and you're watching this, it's the same thing of what men hear. It's like women only want you for your money. That's all they want. They don't want you for anything else. God forbid you be attractive or smart or funny or compassionate. Oh no, they're not interested in any of those things. They just want your money. And these are the silly things that we get programmed into believing. It gets deep in our core, in our DNA, not in our DNA. I've gone too far there. Reel it back in, Alo, reel it back in the subconscious of this is what is wanted for you. And so I think that innately creates a guard in a woman. It's like, listen, yeah, I like sex, but it's going to be so much more. So let me just break down a myth right here, right now. Um, Women want sex just as much as men. Now, I would even say that women, younger women now, women like not my mother's generation, but my generation after me, that we've become awakened. It's like, okay, it's not just like my cookies. Like I have a part to play in this and I get to have an orgasm in this. So it's not like someone's just coming to take something from me, which I think was ingrained into like my parents' generations and the generations before that. But the younger generations, women are starting to realize like it's called the big O. and I get to have it, and it's my body, and I get to navigate how I have that. And joy, boy, the joy that comes with that. But I still think that it's still deeply ingrained in women that men are just these wild beasts and that all they want is just sex. Now, let's let's break it down. I think that humans want sex. And I think that with men, men have been taught like that's their value system. Like you watch porn, they've watched James Bond movies. Like these are the movies and these are the things that men have seen visually. And it's like to be a man who's accomplished and successful, he has sex with the beautiful woman. And that makes him feel accepted, validated as a man, right? But more conscious men, or even men who have had lots of sex, realize, yeah, men who have had lots of sex and still feel just as insecure and just as validated, and that sex, like, it can become an addiction, it can become a drug. But the more conscious a man becomes, he realizes that there's a lot more than just sex. Like, there has like, you listen to men who are either very conscious or men who have had a lot of sex and who have become more conscious, and they go, there has to be a connection there. Otherwise it's just two bodies rubbing up against each other, but there's no spark, there's no real magic there. So I believe that that sex, it is a priority to men for sure, but equally as so that it's just as much of a priority to women. And I think that as women, as I continue to just realize, like, no, we get to be in control of our bodies. We're in control of our pleasure. Uh, and yeah, pleasure is really important to me as a woman. Like, I think that women are becoming more aware of that, but there is that seed in the back of our mind that, it's like, once we have sex, is he just going to be gone? Yes, a childish, immature boy who hasn't found his place in the world is still going to go out and try to bang whoever he can to feel that form of validation and acceptance. And I am a man. We're talking about a very unconscious being when we describe this kind of a guy. And so it's like the question becomes, if that is your concern, is it just sex that a man wants from me as a woman? The bigger question is this, is like, am I effing with a conscious dude, or am I out dating a boy? Because it's a matter of who a person is what you'll receive. If they're a conscious person, you're gonna experience them in a conscious way. You're gonna be able to have a conscious conversation, an adult, authentic conversation. Be like, "Hey, listen, if you're just here for sex, um, I'm not just looking for a hookup. I'm not just looking for a wham bam, thank you, ma'am." You can have that adult like conversation with a man who's conscious, a man who's done his work. But a boy who hasn't found his place in the world, hell no, you're not gonna have that kind of conversation with him. He's gonna get nervous. He's gonna laugh and go, "Oh, what are you talking about?" And you're like, "Oh my god, I'm getting scared because someone's having an adult conversation with me, and I haven't developed those capabilities yet." So it's you asking yourself as a woman, instead of, if you do carry that deep-seated fear that has been ingrained into most of us, that men only want your cookies and their only priority is sex, that you have to ask yourself, is the guy I'm dating, is the person I'm interested in pursuing, is this a man here, or is this a little boy still trying to find his place in the world? And then you get to be in control. You get to be in the driver's seat of that, instead of lingering in the unknown of, is he going to hurt me? Is he going to use me? It's like asking hard questions at the beginning will allow you to get to see a person's character, get to see where they are in the world. So when you ask those hard questions, even though they're uncomfortable, even though they may be taboo in modern dating, who gives a flip? At least you get to be in the driver's seat of your dating and relationships, and who you're relating with and who you're giving your body over to, by having those conversations and seeing how they show up in the conversation. If they show up as a child, as a boy who's unable to have adult-like conversations and they get all scared or they try to gaslight you and go, "Oh, wow, you're really heavy," or "You're really intense." Right there, he's showing you who he is. And so, yeah, there's a high chance that you're gonna be taken advantage of, that you're not gonna be appreciated for who you are and all the work you've done to become the beautiful, glorious person that you are. But at least you don't have to go through as a victim or second guessing yourself or wondering what his intentions are. Screw that. Be direct at the very beginning and start asking the hard questions. And I think that that's our right in dating and relationships that we forget. We once again buy into these social rules and social ideas of how we should be relating, as opposed to just listening to ourselves and going, what questions do I need answered before I invest myself in this person? And do I have the guts to put myself first? Who cares what this Joe Blow thinks about me? Because they'll be gone the next day. I'll be here the next day. What questions do I want to ask? Do I need answered so that I feel as if I am in the driver's seat of my dating and relationships? And I think, most of the time that when we have just these fears of being rejected or fears of the person looking down on us, that when we have those fears, which can be totally normal, and we can go, okay, I normalize that I'm having this fear, I'm having this emotion, I'm having this experience. Sure, acknowledge it, but then go, okay, but I'm still got to get in the driver's seat. I'm not going to be in the back seat of this. I'm going to be get it back seat. I'm going to be in the driver's seat of this, and I'm going to ask the hard questions. I want to know who I'm dealing with here, because maybe you may be a woman watching this right now and you do have that fear. You do have that fear that men only want one thing from you, or you've over sexualized yourself. You've made your whole identity about what you can do in the bedroom. And so then you carry this fear of this is all that men want because that's what you've chosen to lead with. Well, you get to lead with something different now. Your mind, your emotions, your heart. And if your heart has question marks of like, I want something real, I want something serious, and I'm tired of messing with all these guys who just want to hook up, then fuck freaking caught myself there. Put them in the hot seat. What are you here for? Are you just like trying to hook up with people? And if they're like, yeah, that's kind of what I'm into right now. Then you get to say, all right, you get to grab your handbag. You get to walk out in your Jimmy Choos and say, peace. I'm not looking for a little boy. Do I look like a babysitter? I'm not trying to babysit your ass. I'm moving on. I'm trying to find me a grown ass man up in here. That's what I'm trying to do. What are you doing with your life? And you get to do that. You get to have those boundaries. But most of the time, we're more afraid about how we're going to appear to the other person. And in that, we're already selling ourselves short, because that person, you don't have to face that person tomorrow. The person you do have to face is you. And did you sell yourself short? Did you sell yourself out? I know I finally cursed. I used to curse in all of my videos. If you go to my older videos, oh, I used to cuss up a storm. And then, YouTube had to get a little bit more strict with their content because, there were children who were watching things and not appropriate. So then it was like, yeah, we're not going to really support your channel if you're cussing a lot. And I was like, okay, I'll pull back on that. I won't do that. But listen, guys, if you like, if I just put this course in here called Five Things That Sabotage You from Real Connection. It's $94. It's worth every penny and then some. I encourage you, get that course. If you feel like your connections are falling flat, or you feel like you keep meeting the same dudes and a-holes that are not really what you want, chances are there's somewhere in your connecting that you are not hitting the nail on the head, and there's something missing. And most of the time we don't even realize that. We think we want this deep connected relationship, but shit, we're so scared of going to that level of vulnerability, so we stay in the comfort zone of hanging out with f boys and f girls, people who are not serious about love or connecting, and we end up self-sabotaging. So if you're that person, you're like, I just keep getting missed connections and there's something not right, get that course, it will change the game for you when it comes to relating. I even had one of my clients, he got a hold of the course and he had been married before. And he said to me, he said, Erica, I see so many things in my marriage that I wasn't doing that you said in this course that we could have had a more fruitful, more blossoming, more fulfilled relationship had we just implemented those things. So listen, single or in a marriage, get that course. It will open up your eyes to like where we've gotten relating so wrong and how we can change it and how we can actually have more meaningful connections instead of these BS relations that we're cultivating because of social media, because of our fear of being rejected or abandoned. Get the course. All right. So I asked, do men really care about sex that much? Now I want to know what you guys have to say. Let's get up in here in this chat. Let's get up in here. Uh, Remember James Brown? Get up on this. Mm. Robert says, hello from Southeast Iowa. Have a wonderful day, y'all. Glad you're here, darling. Hey, Matt C. Glad you're here. Orville Nation. I always love when you come here. Thank you for being here. Hi, Mike. I'm so glad you are here. Ty, hi from Yoruba land. Very nice. Very, very cool. Hey, Cayman Music. I love Ronnie's answer. Yes, very, but not all about. Yeah, it's like, yeah, it's important as it is to all of us, as it is to women. It's like going up to a woman and saying, is having pleasure in your life an important thing for you? Like when you ask it that way, when you don't put sex on it, you just ask a woman, like, fulfilling complete and absolute erotic pleasure, is that something that's important to you? If you said it that way, a woman would say, yes, where can I get that? What for 19.99 you can. Yes, a woman, everyone's going to say yes, that's super important, but what we're kind of addressing here is the taboo that it's been inundated that that's all a man wants, and I'm saying that's not all a man wants. It's not his obsession. It's a little boy who hasn't found his place in the world. It's his obsession. But a conscious man or a man who's had lots of sex and realized, okay, that lie wasn't necessarily true, that story that I've been told from society that if I, as a man, if I become James Bond and I get the hot woman in the dress at the casino, that I'm just gonna be fully accepted. And then they work very hard, they get that woman, they have sex with her, and they're like, yeah, it felt great, but I still feel like on the inside, I still feel like a loser. I still have my childhood wounds and my self deprecating thoughts running rampantly in my mind going on. So, no, it did not solve it. Ninja Wolf. Oh, I love what Orville Nation says. It's really good. He says, having a woman who is emotionally stable is nice, for example. Yeah, I think that conscious men know that sex is something that's important, but there's so much more to actually create a meaningful, sustainable, life giving, wholehearted relationship. Pradeep says, yes, sex is very important to me. It's a sign of acceptance, respect, and intimacy to me. I envy women because they get sex so easily. And as a result of that, they look down upon men. That's a lot of interesting stuff that you're saying here, Pradeep. I would imagine that you have not had a lot of sex by your response. And I can tell you that you have a lot of priority around sex, which is your truth, right? But the reality is, yeah, if there are women out there who have had lots of sex, I guarantee you that it's not as fulfilling and it doesn't supply the amount of meaning that you are placing on it. I promise if you ask any woman who's had all the sex that you envy her for, that she would still tell you she still feels unfulfilled. She still feels inadequate. She's still on a search. She's that U2 song, I still haven't found what I'm looking for. And I think that most people will tell you that who have had the opportunity to have sex, that while you may be thinking that it's all about acceptance and respect and intimacy to you, and those things are definitely byproducts of sex, but it's not the end all be all, because people who've had lots of sex will still say, and I still haven't found what I'm looking for because the sex didn't give them all that, as you're describing, it should have. Those things that you're talking about, acceptance, respect, come through intimacy. They don't come through just sex. Sex is part of the vehicle that helps create those moments. but there's so much more to acceptance and respect that go into it. I would really encourage you to get that 5 things course. Penguin says, so glad to be here. I'm so glad and grateful. Penguin is such a wonderful champion of my work, and I'm super grateful. I've been doing this for 14 years, and there are people who come through, and I'm like, that person gets it. And then there are other people, I'm like, they're on their way. And Penguin is one of those guys that he just gets it. You're a real gift to me, and you're a gift to this planet, Penguin. Thomas, I'm so glad you're here. Ninja Wolf says, don't date someone who only cares about money, but not anything else. Preach. Glad you're here, Thomas. Came in music. Sex is not really important for me. I do want sex sometimes, but it's not something that I need. And everyone has different needs of sex. Some of us like sex a lot, and some of us don't have as much as a strong desire. Sometimes men struggle with testosterone issues, and so their sex drive is a bit lower. Sometimes women have had their own hormonal issues, or we've all had trauma around it, or we feel like people have derived value of that. So we want people to love us for something more than just by sex, than through sex. Penguin says, I feel that sometimes a lot of boundaries towards sex makes them insecure. Yeah, I wouldn't even call them boundaries. I would call them like inhibitors, things that inhibit people. I think boundaries is like typically a proactive word, but then I think that there are walls and things that inhibit us that create insecurity around sex. Thank you, Orville. He's like, share, stream, please, for Arica. Yes, if you're on social media, share. Be like, this girl is bringing in the heat. This woman. I'm 42. I think I'm past that point where I can call myself a girl. Penguin says, when you're young, sex is everything. Meaning of sex and love is non-existent. It is a trophy kind. Yeah, for sure. It's definitely when you're younger and you're trying to find your way in the world, which, hey, we all have to go through that part of the journey. It is just sex, and it's just that level of self-acceptance. Look what I got here. I did get the cookies, but this is like a young person who's still trying to find themselves. And so you just have to ask yourself, like, is that someone that you want to be coupled up with? Matt C says, when I was young, I found one night stands sterile. Yeah, some people have that experience. Some people find them exciting, some people find them sterile. Orville Nation says, if certain things are not present in a relationship, sex is kind of a non issue. Interesting. I like it. Thomas says, as you get older, sex isn't the most important thing on your mind. I've heard a lot of men say this. Thank you, Ninja Wolf. He noticed the cherry nails. Ninja Wolf, do you know every time I do my nails before YouTube Live, I always think about you because you always think about my nails. So thank you. Sean Michael says, AA, amazing look on you. Thank you. I appreciate that. I think men and women need to be careful, as when you sleep with someone, your body tends to make a commitment to that person, whether you like it or not. That is so true. I was just watching something on YouTube today where a woman was saying, this culture of like, yeah, just go hook up and you're not going to feel anything. You can logic your way out of it. And she said that that's such a mistruth. And I think it is true. Anytime you talk to a man or a woman, you can have sex with someone for one time and there is a bond that is formed. Unless you're just on tons of drugs or tons of alcohol, most of the time, if you're sober, there is a connection that's formed, and we can analyze it to the moon. But if we're all just sitting in a room and being super honest with one another, you can go, yeah, I felt a connection with that person. And it kind of always stays there. Penguin says, as you get older, you realize that chasing sex as the most important equals emptiness. When you're older, you blow through relationships. Yeah, because you miss out on the person's presence. You miss out on who they are, and they miss out on who you are, because you're making it about this function that your body can perform. And as human beings, we're so much more than just our bodies. We're a soul, we're a mind, we're a spirit. And it's like there's so many deeper levels to connect with people, and sex is a great way to do that. But when it's just about that, it loses its wanderlust. Thomas is like, Arica finally cursed. Penguin, Arica energizes me. Wow, I missed her life. I love that. I love that I can energize you. That's freaking awesome. I love that. Maria, I'm so glad you're here. Every time I see your name, I want to go, Maria, Maria. She says, it's always great to learn. I'm so glad you're here. Turtle, look alike Urkel. That's a great name. Sex isn't that important. Sex is a tool to keep a woman from not cheating. Wow. I don't know about that either. I mean, it depends on the sex. If you're just having sex with her, but if you're not making love to her body, I mean, why wouldn't she cheat if she's just being treated like an object? I mean, it's how you make love to her that would probably make her reconsider if she goes looking elsewhere. Vijay says, if I were to rate my top requirements of relationship, I'd rate camaraderie, sense of humor, common interest, and thoughtfulness as equally as important as having sex. I actually like that. He says, I've got quite a low sex drive. Have you ever had your testosterone looked at? Just curious. Thomas says men have more sex related problems today. Testosterone is dropping a lot of men. Heck yeah, it is. Men are sitting in front of computers all day long and they're not out conquering the world the way men used to. And so it kind of like starts neutering their senses, to be so direct, but it's true. Thankfully that there's help out there. Um, Turtle says women are way more into control. Men these days have no power when it comes to dating. Maybe that's more your experience. I think that women are getting more control for sure. I wouldn't say they have all the control, and I don't think men have all the control. I think people can have as much or as little control as they choose to execute upon. Tommy says, "You're beautiful, and as you do get older, it's about well, thank you. And as you do get older, it's about companionship, loyalty, trust. You got to have more to have sex mean more. Sex is boring without meaning." And it's true. Like when sex has meaning, when there's that deep connection, when you look in that person's eyes and you're like, I love you, I accept you, I think that you are wonderful, wonderful. I celebrate the person that you are, the quirks, the things that drive me crazy, the things that make my heart sing. And then you look in their eyes and you make love to them from that intention. That's when it becomes magical. That's when it becomes powerful. That's when the fireworks start to fly. So I appreciate you guys sharing your feedback and your thoughts on it. Everyone had a different thought. And I really love that. Everyone had a different perspective. And you brought in what your meaning of what sex means to you. And so I appreciate you guys just being honest and open and sharing your experience. But yeah, if you're that person, you're like, I'm tired of having like meaningless sex or feeling like people are just coming to me because they just want something from me, then get that course. Seriously, it's 94 bucks. It's the 5 things that sabotage you from real connection. I think at the end of the day, we are starving for real connection. And I think we've created a culture that we like to blame and we like to say it's all men, it's all women, it's all dating apps, it's all politics, it's COVID. It's like we're doing is blaming. I'm like, but when you stay in that mode of just blaming, you never get what you really want, which is actual real connection. And in this course, I'm giving you the tools to equip you to powerfully connect so that you can feel fulfilled, that you can feel the love that you're aching for, feel that passion instead of having passionless sex, starting to have that sex that's full of passion, meaning, and wonder. So if that's something that you've been trying to achieve, make sure that you get that course. Thank you, Thomas. I really appreciate that acknowledgement. He says, thank you, Erica, for a safe space to share our experiences. Absolutely. I think that we learn more through human experiences. I think that, uh, we always want to look outside of ourselves for the answers, but I think that most of us, when we just take the time to hear one another's stories, that we can learn so much more through that. Stylish over 60 says sexual intimacy is about compromise and understanding each other's needs, desires, and passion. Yeah, and I want to add to that, and having the courage to talk about those, which obviously is what you're saying, but I just want to plug that in there because I think sometimes people will look at words like this and go, yeah, that's wonderful. I'm like, yeah, but you're going to have to talk about it. You're going to have to say the things that you want. Like if you don't like, the way they touch you, you have to say, that doesn't do anything for me. I actually like when you do this, or I prefer you do more of that. And it's having the courage to speak up for your needs, because at the end of the day, you want to be responsible for your passion and what passion you receive with your body. Maria with T and Telly says women become emotionally attached when they have sex with a man. So we don't see it as just sex. It drives us to want more exchange passion with someone that has love for you. It's true, and I would say for a man, instead of emotionally attached. Like he wants to form some form of acceptance with that. It's like I'm having, he may not use the words connection, but he sure will, whether he admits it or not, is looking for acceptance in that. Tommy says, man, do I miss the world of the 90s before social media and everything that's going on. I'm a person that likes to live, not behind a computer. You can't feel behind a screen talking about your emotions. I completely agree. I always tell people who are single and who are on dating apps, I'm like, get off the dating app. Like, what I mean is, don't use them because I think that they're a great tool to meet people, but don't stay on there. Don't write like these long messages. Be like, hey, it's great to meet you. Don't like talking a lot on these apps. Want to meet for coffee. Like, get on it. Don't sit there and hide behind a screen because that is a pseudo form of connection. It is not the end all be all to connection. Well said. Orville Nation's like, we all need to get out of the house, which is exactly what I'm about to do. I'm about to walk over to the sea. So I am taking your advice, Orville. Guys, I'm so grateful you're here. We're going to do another one of these lives on Monday. We've got some new videos coming out this week. So please make sure that you come back. And if you're new, make sure you subscribe and turn on the notification bell because apparently YouTube does not tell you. I've had so many people say, I didn't even know you were still doing videos. I'm like, yeah, I've had like a YouTube channel for 12 years. Of course, I'm still doing videos. I've got like 800 videos on here. So make sure that you guys come back for those. I love you all. I'm so glad you used your voice on this. It really adds to the conversation. It makes the conversation way more colorful. So thank you for being here. Thank you for being you. And make sure that you give this a thumbs up. I love you all, and I will see you next Monday. Take care, guys.